Thank you for tuning in to the Coach's Corner. We are here at the Tivoli Tap House where you can find great food as well as great beer. I'm Tony Almanza, and alongside me is Connor Dockery. Connor, was there a great weekend in Roadrunner sports?
Well, absolutely. The men's soccer team killed it with 2 wins this weekend. We also saw a couple of former Roadrunners basketball players play against the Denver Nuggets. We'll talk a little bit about that later.
Yeah, for sure.
Went really well.
Nice. So who do we have on the show today?
So we've got women's soccer head coach Tracy Chao, and she's going to talk about the team's weekend games that were played on the road. Also on the docket is volleyball coach Jenny Glenn, as she's going to be talking about her team, which came off a big weekend on the road. In addition, we're going to get her involved in some trivia action. Nice. And last but certainly not least is senior soccer player Reigna Banks. She's going to join us and talk about her incredible 2018 season. Nice.
Can't wait to bring on our first guest. But before we do that, we're going to give you a recap of what happened this past weekend in Roadrunner sports. The men's soccer team was happy to be back on their home pitch in downtown Denver. On Friday, the offense exploded for a season-high 5 goals, including 2 from senior forward Jacob Koking. Freshman Jaime Gutierrez had a great night against Adams State, scoring his 2nd goal of the season while adding 2 assists on Sunday. The freshman phenom scored 2 more goals, including the game winner in overtime. Head coach Jeremy Tittle and his squad now sit at a 5-3 record in conference play.
Now for the women's soccer team, who was a mirror image of the men's outcomes this weekend. First, a 4-1 blowout over Adams State in Alamosa on Friday. 4 different Roadrunners scored goals, including Reigna Banks, who netted her 10th goal on the season. Then, just like the men's game, the Sunday match went into overtime, and the game winner came from who else? Mrs. Queen Bee herself, and we're allowed to call her that since it's on her Twitter account. It was a 1-0 win for Coach Chao's squad, and they improved to 6-2 in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference.
Let's talk about that cross-country team. They hosted their annual Roadrunner Invitational at Wash Park, and they had a great showing. The women finished 4th overall and was led by senior Sabrina Router, who finished 3rd overall and 2nd in the scoring system. It was a PR time for the Connecticut native, who beat her previous time by almost a minute. The men's team also finished 4th and were led by 2 Roadrunners who finished near the top 10. Sophomore Jacob Link finished in that 10th spot, crossing the line in a time of 25 minutes and 34 seconds, while senior Sam Berg finished just 4/10 of a second behind Link for the 11th spot. Next up for the cross-country teams is a road trip to Hays, Kansas this weekend.
And last but definitely not least is our volleyball team, who swept their weekend road trip, which included a huge 3-0 beatdown of 2nd place Dixie State in St. George, Utah. The Roadrunners' defense was on point, holding the Trailblazers to a .094 hitting percentage and forcing 20 attack errors. Senior Taylor Duryea led the way in recording her 7th double-double on the season. MSU Denver now improves to 8-2 in the conference.
So now let's welcome in women's head coach Tracy Chao. Coach, thank you so much for being here.
Hey guys, good. Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been a little while.
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah, for sure. So watching the Westminster game online, it sounded like it was pretty windy down there in Alamosa. Does the wind play any factor into those games?
It was. It was about, checking the weather, it was about 14 to got up to maybe like 18-mile-per-hour winds across the field. So it was pretty gusty. We didn't have the wind the first half. So we had to adjust certainly to how balls were being played out of the air. It's just going to carry when you have the wind, and so we had to adjust in terms of our player and positioning. And then the second half, we got the wind. So Torres was punting the ball pretty much into their 18, so we had to adjust her as well to tell her just to kind of settle down a little bit. So it does play a huge factor, but ultimately we wanted, we really wanted to keep the ball on the ground. So how we could execute in getting into the goal and doing that. So when wind does play a factor, it's how do you adjust and continue to execute how you want to play.
Well, those poor Grizzlies had to not only deal with that wind out there, but they also had to deal with the whirlwind that is Reigna Banks. She had 11 shots in that game, and she scored her 10th goal of the season, dished out an assist, and was the reason your team scored that first goal because she was tripped up just outside the box. She looked like she was just playing on a whole nother level out there.
Yeah, Reigna had a fantastic weekend, and overall our team offensively just came out and we really executed a much better this weekend. We made some adjustments in terms of training and really focused on things that we can work on, and they did a really good job in putting into action on Friday. And Reigna, I like that, was a whirlwind, and she definitely put herself in position to create a lot of chances, and so did a lot of our teammates. We should have easily had 4 or 5 goals right away in the first half. Naeli had a sitter in front of the goal, and there was a lot of chances from a lot of other people. So, you know, as many chances as you're going to get, we have to put them away. So I feel like our whole team was quite the whirlwind that day.
So we haven't talked about Brooklyn Mooney with you at all this season yet, but she's that one who hit that amazing set-piece goal to kick off the scoring. Tell us about her and how she has helped out this season with Roadrunners.
Yeah, Brooklyn was an addition this summer. She came to us from Wyoming and is a local kid from Broomfield, Colorado. So, but she made the decision. She wants to be to go into aviation, and our aviation program obviously is fantastic. So, for her to be able to pursue that area of study is awesome. But certainly her attributes on the field is fantastic. She is a true midfielder for us that can just help us dictate the game and the speed of play, and is super comfortable on the ball. So she's been a really great addition and brings maturity and experience as well. She's played at a high level and brings that knowledge into our team, and is just a fun person to be around. She might seem a little bit shy to begin with, but she's got quite the personality. So she's been really great.
So after that game, your squad went further south down to Durango to take on Fort Lewis College. Again, your squad had a majority of the chances that game, except this time finding the back of the net was a bit more difficult. Were the chances that your team got that game, were they quality chances? And how do you keep your team focused? Because when those chances start not falling, does the doubt start to creep in?
Quality would have been a few goals early on. So yes, we had one really quality chance, and that was Reigna's finish at the end. But no, we did produce a lot of chances, and that was a little bit of a tougher game. Fort Lewis is a really solid team, and they gave us a really good battle. We were going to have to be a little bit smarter and sophisticated in our attack to really break them down. But it was another game that we did find ourselves in front of the goal quite a bit, and then, you know, we had a couple of chances, missed opportunities, but it could have gone either way. We were also giving up a couple of set pieces that were dangerous from them in their counterattack and transition. So, yeah, quality. Yeah, it's not really quality until it goes into the back of the net, right? Right. So it was a nail biter to the end.
So you're into overtime for the second time this season. Take us through that game-winning goal by Banks. We heard you say that the bench seemed to will that goal into the back of the net.
Yeah, we had talked about right before overtime the energy that needs to come from the sideline. Overtimes are about mentality and toughness and just the grit and the grind. You've already played 90 minutes, and that's already a tough 90 minutes that you're competing. So going into overtime, it really has to be the energy from the players on the field and the players off the field. We have 26 players, and our motto all year has been all 26. So it really has to come from everybody to be energized and to bring the intensity and the enthusiasm and to help the players that are playing and help them be ready to go. So I felt like when Reigna had the opportunity when she was 70 yards from goal, and starts turning and has the space to go, you know, even me on the sideline, we're all just yelling, go, 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 and you can hear everybody just cheering. And I know she probably was just in her zone, but I felt the sideline did a fantastic job of just continuing to will her to keep going. You're like, you got this, you got space, and you got an opportunity, and certainly she put it away. So it was great energy for sure from our sideline.
So Eric over there is going to have me ask a little bit more of a difficult question.
Always.
So
Lansing.
So we saw in the men's game where CSU Pueblo had all the momentum going for them at the end of regulation, and in a tie game, and they almost came up with a game-winning goal there at the end. That stoppage time in between regulation and overtime possibly slowed down that momentum, which allowed the men's team to regroup, and they ended up winning that game. Do you prefer to have that stoppage time, or should it just go straight from regulation into overtime without a stoppage?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Good one, Lansing. Gosh. Yeah, no, I think it is. It's just part of the game in terms of having the stoppage, because playing 45 minutes straight and then continuing is tough for anybody. So having a little bit of that to regroup and to refocus, certainly, in my mind, I thought we had the momentum, and it was now getting the team to continue to have that what we left off in the second half and moving forward into overtime. So just as much as carrying on momentum is just as important of even starting momentum. So, on either side of it, it's how do you get your team to refocus, regroup, realize, look, it's golden goal. You can end this in literally 5 seconds, or we can play 20 minutes, and so it's a test of our mental toughness, really, of any team's mental toughness and heart. And the whole game, I kept telling the team, it's coming. I knew it was going to come. And so it just said, you got to stick with it. We got to believe, keep doing what we're doing, and just know that, we're knocking on the door. And certainly, that was a great little finish in the 97th minute.
So you'll be back home this weekend hosting Carl Christian and Carl Mines at the Rack. Sunday's match will be Go for the Goal game. Tell us what that's about.
Yeah, so we've partnered with Go for the Goal in doing a fundraiser for pediatric cancer. And the Colorado School of Mines is doing the same thing. So we're both going to wear yellow laces in honor, and we're going to fundraise as much as we can to help. And any monetary amount helps. So please donate and help us help kids with cancer, and hopefully it'll be a great game as well.
Nice. Well,
great.
Coach, yeah,
thanks, guys.
Sure, yeah.
You guys are awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Great luck to you this weekend as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we'll be taking our first break. But before we do that, it's that time again where we bring you the tweet of the week. It comes from the Perth Wildcats, taking a picture of former Roadrunners who are now playing with them in Australia's National Basketball League. Jesse Wagstaff, Jonathan Morse, and Nicholas Kay are about to start their 2018 season in just a few days, and it was a cool moment to see those former Roadrunners back in downtown Denver taking on the Denver Nuggets. And guess what? The Wildcats almost pulled off the upset. We got to step away, but stay close. We have volleyball head coach Jenny Glenn up next on the Coach's Corner.
It's not about where you were born. It's not about your gender or the color of your skin, or whether you're rich, poor, or in the middle. No matter what you play, if you have the skill and drive to succeed in school and in sports, we'll provide the opportunity.
We are student athletes from the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference.
Let's get real about mental health.
1 in 4 of us are currently living with a mental illness.
Let's have an honest conversation about mental health.
1 in 2 of us
will have a mental health issue during our lifetime.
Most of those who can get help improve their quality of life.
You can help stamp out the stigma
associated with seeking help.
Take the pledge at Stamp Out Stigma.
I'm Stephanie Laraway, senior middle blocker.
And the block, Stephanie Laraway, the leader on this team in blocks, coming up big.
You're watching Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner. Before we talk with Coach Glenn, we want to tell you about a promotion that's happening right here at the Tivoli Tap House. They are celebrating their 2nd year of the annual Fallen Hero Red Alt Ale release. It's a delicious brew that the Tap House develops, and when you pre-purchase cases through the Colorado Fallen Hero website or pick some up right here at the Tivoli Tap House on October 27th, Colorado Fallen Hero website, or pick some up right here at the Tap House on October 27th. All proceeds go directly to the Fallen Hero Foundation. So get your hands on some delicious Fallen Hero Red Alt Ale and help support an incredible foundation that assists families who have lost a loved one in the line of duty. The website is cofallenhero.org. It's only for a limited time, so get those cases now. So now we welcome in Coach Jenny Glenn, head coach of the women's volleyball team. Coach, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah.
You just keep having me back. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. So how was the trip to Utah? Did you drive? Did you fly? How was it for the Roadrunners?
It was good. We did a little bit of both. We flew from Denver to Salt Lake City and then drove the rest of the trip. So it's a long trip home. We got home at 5 a.m. I think on yesterday morning, so still recovering a little bit.
So is Dixie State pretty far from Westminster also? Or?
It was about 4.5 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So your squad played against Westminster on Friday and Dixie State on Saturday. Dixie State was definitely a big-time game for you and the squad. Any worries about a trap game against Westminster? Were there conversations to make sure you took the Griffins seriously?
Yeah, we always take it one match at a time. You know, as we prepare in the course of the week, we're always preparing for both opponents, but we only talk about one at a time. So we're fully scouted for Westminster. I was pretty confident we could have a good match, but we always have to show up. So I thought we did a nice job of taking care of business in 3 on Friday so we could get on the road quick and head down to Dixie State.
It definitely didn't look like your team was overlooking the Griffins. In fact, your squad came out firing. It looked as it was a total team effort.
Yeah, we played multiple players. We had a freshman get her first play time of the season. We tried some different things. You know, this continues to be a team that we can put multiple different lineups on the floor and be successful. So I think that makes us hard to scout and hard to defend when you never know. Sometimes I don't know up until it gets close at what lineup we're going to use.
So Kaden Rexia, she's been starting to see a lot more playing time as of late. She's a redshirt freshman from Eaton, Colorado, and she had the redshirt with you guys last season. Tell us a little bit about Kaden and how she's been progressing this year with the squad.
Yeah, she's actually a redshirt sophomore, but I'll correct you a little bit there. She was a transfer for us and then sat last year. She's done a great job. You know, Kaden is a competitor, and she is feisty, and she gets after it. So I think that's what she really brings to the team right now is, you know, a positive presence that is going to run through a wall for a ball. And, you know, she's picking different things up, the off speed, she runs down really well, and she's holding her own in the lanes. And so she's done a really nice job.
So now the big game versus Dixie State last Saturday night. The Trailblazers were second place in the RMAC standings, and your team is trying to get a quality win over a regional opponent. So a lot of hype in this one. It was a 3-0 sweep for your squad. Tell us how your team did that match.
The girls were super pumped. You know, there's a lot between our two programs, even though it's the first year in the RMAC, with us playing them in our opening weekend last year and beating them in 3. You know, Taylor Duryea is the transfer that came from Dixie State. There's a lot surrounding that. I think Dixie was really wanting to beat us after last year. So for us to come in, you know, on our opponent's home floor and play the way we did, I think our team executed the scouting report exceptionally well. We served very aggressive, which really minimized their offense. They're a very good offensive team that produces high numbers. We were able to really hold them to a low hitting percentage. And then on the other side of the ball, blocking and defense, we did an excellent job with our scouting report. So all those things combined, as well as our team was super pumped for that match and very ready to go and play hard. And we were just itching for that match for a while. So, you know, it was a nice match for us to come out with a 3-0 sweep on the road.
So, you know, moving on with that thought, what does a win like that do for the confidence of this team? To go on the road and to beat a team like that, do you hope that they feed off it and keep the good times rolling into this weekend?
Oh, always. We want to keep the good times rolling. We never want to break that streak.
Right.
You know, I think it was a good confidence boost for us. You know, we've had a really tough schedule in general. You know, we needed to get a quality win against a quality opponent, and I think that's what we got on Saturday. So to do it in their home court just provides even a little bit more confidence. We always talk about, doesn't matter where we play, it's volleyball. Doesn't matter if it's in the area event center, it doesn't matter if it's in St. George, Utah, the game is still the game. And so for us to just kind of minimize the whole on the road piece and just go out and play tough is what I like to see from this group.
So you mentioned that you had to overcome some adversity in the match. To most, it may not seem like any adversity because you won 3-0. So tell us what your team had to do to overcome the adversity.
Well, I think just the anticipation of the match, you know, that with it being Taylor's previous school, how is she going to handle that? And she stepped up and played a great match. You know, the gym was full. It was a big crowd, and they had student support night, so that we had that coming at us. The ceiling in that gym is extremely low, so just us handling balls coming off the ceiling, which we normally wouldn't expect, I thought we did a nice job with that. And then a team, you know, that plays with a lot of high energy, and they come at you with that kind of energy. Sometimes it can push you back, and we didn't allow that.
So coming up this weekend, you're going to be back at home at the Auraria Event Center. You'll first take on New Mexico Highlands on Friday, and then on And in that game, you're going to be celebrating a Hispanic heritage match. Tell us what we're going to be seeing in those festivities.
Yeah, so this is the idea of John Kitzman, our marketing guy, and it's, you know, just we're a Hispanic serving institution. So I think that's his, you know, kind of where he birthed the idea from, to just have the match be announced in Spanish. And so I think that's the biggest difference you'll see from that side of it, is our PA announcer will be speaking Spanish instead of English. So it should be an interesting night.
So on Saturday, the fun continues as Roadrunner Athletics will be inducting 2 individuals and a team into its Hall of Fame. And that team will be the 1982 squad.
Yeah, we just celebrated our 50th anniversary, and a lot of those athletes that are on that 1982 team were here. So it's exciting to get them back on campus so quickly. It was a team that I think finished 3rd in NAIA that year. And they had an interesting story with having to, you know, forfeit a few matches, but they had won significant number of matches because of some ineligibility issues changing over divisions. So, you know, I think that it was a really successful team. Pat Johnson, I think, was Regional Coach of the Year that year. Catherine Giles was an All-American, and I think Mickey O'Donnell as well out of that group. So, you know, great individual efforts as well as a team effort in that 1982 class. So we're excited to get them back on campus.
Well, yeah, it's that time again where we play some trivia questions. We'll be asking, Coach Glenn, her first question of the season. So this is how it works. So we'll be asking Coach a question on the team they coach, and every point they get, it will be tallying up. And at the end of the season, the coach with the most points will win a prize. Maybe like some ice cream, I think. You think an ice cream is pretty good?
Definitely ice cream.
Yeah?
I'll take some ice cream for sure.
All right, so here's your question, Coach.
Okay, I'm nervous. Let's go.
Okay. It's multiple choice, so that's good.
Is the answer on your sheet?
It is, yeah. So I just.
Okay, sorry. I won't
It's all
cheat.
good. All right. So which former Roadrunner owns the record for most kills in program history? Is it A, Amy Watanabe?
Definitely not.
Is it B, Julie Green McFarland?
I don't think so.
Or is it C, Bree
Morley. That's it. Bree Morley.
Are you sure? Is that your final
This is my final answer. I'm feeling good about this. Come on, guys.
Ding, ding, ding. You are correct. So 1 point for Jenny Glenn, but we're also going to give you an opportunity for a bonus question to add on to your point total.
I'm ready.
So how many kills did she have in that season? We'll give
in that season or in her career?
My bad. We'll give you the point depending on how close. If you're close, we'll give you the point anyway. Depending on how generous Erica feels.
1,485.
1,485.
What? What? How close am I?
Answer was 1,666.
That was pretty close.
That's pretty close, yeah.
Dang it.
So I think Coach Glenn has the lead, right, over Tittle and Chao, right?
Well, Tittle got 1 point. He got the bonus question last week,
true,
so
yeah.
you're tied with Tittle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
All right. You got to have me back soon.
For sure. Well, Coach, thank you so much for coming on, and
You're
great luck
welcome.
to you this weekend.
Thank you.
So we'll be taking our final break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with super striker Reigna Banks on the Coach's Corner.
I'm Fantasia Sturgis, a senior outside hitter for the volleyball team.
Roadrunners advantage here. And Sturgis, the All-American, pounding one through there.
And you're watching Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
Welcome back to the show. Before we talk to the Queen Bee herself, we want to make sure that you're following all our social media. On Twitter, you can follow us at MSU Denver Sports, We're at MSU Denver Roadrunners on Facebook, and we're on Instagram at MSU Denver Athletics. We'll bring you highlights, interviews, game recaps, feature stories, schedules, and more. So keep up with the Roadrunners all season long. So now we welcome in senior forward Reigna Banks from the women's soccer team. Reigna, thank you so much for being here.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Queen Bee is actually Reigna, not Beyonce. So tell us why Queen Bee is your name, like on Twitter.
My first name means queen, and my last name starts with a B, so that was just,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So perhaps they should call you Queen G for how many goals you've scored this season. You've been really racking them up. The last time you were on the show, you were a junior, and you told us you were on a junior slump because everyone you were playing against knew who you were. Did they forget about that this season? What has been the biggest difference between last season and this season in terms of goal scoring?
This season, I think my teammates have made it just so much easier for me. Not necessarily people don't know who I am, but my teammates are just like so amazing, every single one of them. So it's like kind of hard to stop all of us. You have to kind of pick and choose. So
you scored 9 goals in the first 6 games. While there's one thing to be confident in yourself, did you ever think you net that many in that short amount of time?
No, it was just coming to me. My goal for the whole year was 10, so I didn't think I was going to get in the first 6 games, but yeah, they were just coming. My teammates were putting me in really good positions, so I was just finishing.
So after that streak, you then went 4 games without scoring a goal before this weekend. Did you notice, were you being marked harder by opponents, or were you just missing some opportunities, or were you just pressing out there a little bit?
I think a little bit of both. I think I was kind of going through the motions a little bit. Like I was not trying to dominate, you know. I mean, it happens, you know. I wasn't expecting to score in every single game this season. So, I mean, I'm back on now, so.
So last Friday, your squad took on Adams State and Alamosa, and from the broadcast, we could see how windy it was. Can you tell us a little about that?
I mean, it wasn't too bad. Last year when we went, it was really, really bad. So it wasn't too bad. It was just a little bit different. You know, we just have different obstacles we have to overcome, and we did that. So it was pretty good.
So your team certainly played well. You guys took care of business against Adams State, winning 4-1 on Friday. But Sunday's match was a lot more difficult, especially scoring goals in that game. But in overtime, you did end up scoring the game winner. Talk us through that goal, and where does that rank up there with your favorite goals that you've scored this season?
Well, yeah, it was like a hard goal to score. It was really just like a goal of sheer will, you know. I really wanted to score because in like the last like 2 or 3 minutes of the game, I beat a defender and I was like 1v1 with the keeper and I missed. So I was like, shoot, like I really could have put that away. Like we could have been on the bus on the way home. So I was kind of like, I need to, you know, make up for that and stuff. And I did not want to go to another overtime. So I was like, when Kenna played me that ball, it was only one person that needed to be beat. So I was like, when I turn, I'm going to look up. And then I was going to play one of my teammates, but she ran offside. So I was like, I guess I'll just keep going. And then the goalie started running out. I don't know why. So I just chipped her back post.
So, Reigna, thanks so much for coming on the show, and great luck to you this weekend at home.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, before we end today's show, we want to tell you what there is to come in Roadrunner sports. Reigna and her squad will be back at the Regency Athletic Complex and will host Carl Christian on Friday at 4:30. And 5th-ranked Colorado Mines on Sunday. Sunday's match will be the Go for the Goal game, and you can find out more about that at roadrunnerathletics.com. The men's team will finish up their homestand this weekend. They'll first welcome in South Dakota Mines on Friday night under the lights at 7 p.m., and then they'll also take on Colorado Mines on Sunday as the Ore Diggers come in as the 16th ranked team in the nation. So a big weekend for both our soccer teams.
Coach Glenn and her volleyball squad will be back in downtown Denver to continue conference play. They first take on New Mexico Highlands on Friday at 7, and that will be the Hispanic Heritage match. Then on Saturday, the Thunderwolves from CSU Puebla will come to town, and that match will get going at 4. And right after that match concludes, the Roadrunners Hall of Fame ceremony will take place as we induct former women's soccer coach Danny Sanchez, former All-American track star Anthony Luna, and the 1982 volleyball team. Check out roadrunnersathletics.com for details on how you can attend this prestigious event.
Our cross-country teams head to Hayes, Kansas to compete in the Fort Hays State Tiger Open on Saturday. So we wish the best for Coach Trent Mack and the squad. And one final note, With the upcoming 2018 basketball season, the local RMAC teams will host the Denver Division II tip-off luncheon at the Blake Street Tavern on Thursday, October 11th. It's hosted by Fox 31's Bruce Hartle, and he'll interview the coaches and players from those Denver schools to help you get ready for the 2018-2019 RMAC basketball season. The doors will open at 11:30 and the event will tip off at noon. It's $25 per person and will wrap up at 1 p.m. You can buy tickets at roadrunnerathletics.com/2018 tip-off luncheon. So that's going to do it for this week's show. We want to thank Coach Chao, Coach Glenn, and of course Reigna Banks for coming on the show. For Connor Dockery, I'm Tony Almanza. We'll see you next time on the Coach's Corner.